Hey, man.
Hey, buddy.
How's it going? Welcome.
We smashed that.
So Mark Mann came in to the song Holding Hands once it was already pretty developed, but I thought, man, wouldn't it be great to have him in the album? He's an incredible musician. He's played with, you know, Eric Clapton, Paul McCartney, you know, Ringo Starr. On guitar, Mark Mann.
Beto liked that I played guitar for concert for George, doing all George Harrison's parts with Paul and Ringo. And I figured it out. Everybody goes, "Oh man, you're like the sixth Beatle." I said, "No, I think I'm 158." Every city in the world is mentioned in the back end of this song. Listen closely.
And he came in and he did some beautiful acoustic, sort of Spanish-style guitar on one of the sections, and then in the end section, a more rock and roll sort of solo and distorted guitars. Well, this is Los Olivos recording studios, and it's a dream come true. I mean, relatively recently, you know, I had the opportunity to build a real space. The way I envision it is for it to be a space where very special projects happen, because I think the space has a certain magic to it.
One more time.
We like a lot of the same music. I mean, he's a Beatles freak, of course, but he's a trained musician the way I am too. So he knows the, you know, the technical, let's call it academic side of things when you need to talk in those terms. But then when you want to reference something like, oh, like in this song from that album, oh yeah, and so we know.
Beto has created this wonderful environment. Plus, he's an amazing musician who brings out this love in his music that just comes across. So you just go, well, I'm going to see if I can contribute to that. Come on, man, I'm doing all the hard work.
This is a beautiful piano. Really nice. Steinway. Isn't the ceiling gorgeous?
Yes.
First time I saw it, I just went, oh my God, is it like a church?
Rosemary Butler, she's one of the top background singers in LA, and by extension the world. She's gotten to sing background vocals for Jackson Browne and even Paul McCartney, James Taylor, and the list goes on.
So what are we about to do right now?
Well, warm up Beto's beautiful falsetto. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Then when I moved out to LA, I got in touch with her and I said, I want to take lessons with you, you know? I came into one of the lessons and we were working on my singing other people's music to get away from my own stuff, my comfort level, and we were working on a Coldplay song.
And I said, you know, maybe you should work with some, you know, because he's a drummer, some grooves.
She said, why didn't you write something like that, you know?
And for you, I feel such love. You are the only one I'll ever need.
It came out great, and it was thanks to her sort of pushing me a little out of my comfort zone.
Try not to lift your eyebrows each time you do take a breath. I think that this album, although it's very complex, has a simplicity to it that anybody of any age or culture could relate to?
Well, I was born in Mexico City. I moved away when I wanted to pursue music seriously, and I moved to Boston to go to Berklee College of Music, but I was in Mexico till I was 22. I think growing up in Mexico is way more than just about what comes out through your music. It's about a sense of humor, it's about a perspective, it's about a worldview that I think is very particular to, especially people from the big cities, I mean, because they have influences from all over the world.
My name is Pablo Munguia, and I'm a music producer, and we're taping this interview from Valencia, Spain. We were listening to a bunch of Beto's songs, and this one song jumped out at me, and it was Closer to You. A lot of these songs are what I call Beto's wake up in the morning songs. There's these brain waves that happen kind of when we're just barely between awake and asleep. And I love with this album that so many ideas came out of that moment. 5 o'clock in the morning, he would just stumble into the studio and he would hit record and he'd just start recording. You know, whether it was himself recording the vocals or himself recording the drums or just a guitar idea.
I woke up very early one day and I went to the studio I had before here, which was just a bedroom in the house. And I put the microphone on and they say you should always be recording, you know, because you never know what's going to come out.
The vocal is something that Beto cut right there on the spot, and you know, with a sleepy voice and not really like thinking about like, oh, is this the keep or take?
I think I'm losing my mind, and the lyrics just came out.
But I'm getting much closer to you. And there's not really much.
Oh, and I overloaded. I overloaded the preamp, and then with Pablo Munguia, who I produced this song with and several others in the album, he really is good at focusing on the delivery in terms of the singing. Are you singing this in a way that really reflects the lyric and your state of mind and the mood you want to transmit?
Dreaming of your eyes night and day now. Dreaming of your eyes night and day now. Dreaming of all the time.
He's going to show a video that these
They
guys
did for one of my songs.
You and me.
Look at the house. Is that like the party? Like that movie, The Party?
Wow!
Look at the pool.
And a yellow piano.
Whose car this is?
I literally don't know whose car that is. We just borrowed it.
And there's not really much you got.
Oh! This is the part my love. My
This is the
wife
best
loves.
use of technology for this I've ever seen.
Like a dreaming.
And then with Pablo, we just really just got down to the details and the form.
We naturally gravitated towards these vintage sounds and the keyboards, you know, and the synthesizers.
That's this synthesizer right here. This is an analog synthesizer, meaning you're not using ones and zeros to create the sounds. You're actually using an electrical signal that then passes through filters and amplifiers and stuff like, you know, the original way that sounds were created. And this is another synth part. Just ambient.
Beto has such an amazing collection of guitars, and so the cool thing there is that not only is he a great player to work with and a great, you know, instrumentalist, in choosing the palette of colors, the richness of the record really comes from the fact that we had all these instruments right there, and we could say, okay, well, what if we try this? Dialing in the distortion and the delays and the reverb and all those effects as we're doing it, so that the meat of the sound and the idea of the sound and how the things are going to work together, that's set from the beginning.
We just achieved these beautiful sounds. I think Suddenly would be great. The song, I think, is a love song for sure, and probably about my wife. From the lyric standpoint, it's just that love at first sight.
I'm Sandra. I'm Beto's wife. He just dedicated himself to making his music, and by doing that, he's been attracting all these people who are really great matches with him and are really amazing people. Everything is clicking.
Suddenly you're standing there, so innocent and unaware, with yellow flowers in your hair.
With yellow flowers in your hair.
And I like to put images, you know, like colors and textures or whatever.
Disappears, and we seem to fly up through the air.
And you add the drums.
Suddenly you came to
It starts sounding more like a rock band behind the singer-songwriter, you know? The multi-instrumentalist thing wasn't necessarily something I planned out. It just happened very naturally. I sometimes joke that because I was an only child, I didn't have anybody to jam with, so I would just have to learn all the parts so that I could eventually be the band myself. Drums is my best instrument, the most natural to me. I just was so interested in every aspect of a song that I was fascinated by it, and I wanted to learn how everything worked. As a songwriter and a composer, the more you know how instruments work, the better you write for them. So it's about communicating the message, and in my case, a song. And so this album, I think it just brings together a whole lifetime of experiences, musical and otherwise. I have a group of friends that we get together. Sometimes we play Beatles songs. In Facebook, we call each other just Abbey Road.
My name is Misha Stangrut, and I'm the choir director of Musica Children's Choir. And we are in Beto's amazing Los Olivos recording studios, jamming, playing some Beatles.
So you participated in the latest album
Yes.
by directing the school choir.
That's right. We were just standing right here. The kids were here. It was a beautiful part, and we recorded it. And then Beto even asked them to improvise a little bit, some notes, and the kids did it very beautifully. And then we just came in and recorded the beautiful children's part.
Share Your Joy. This song developed from a pretty simple concept up into this really big sort of happiness anthem. Pablo recommended Sal as an engineer for the project. Sal had a lot of great ideas in terms of the sound of that song. He inserted some sort of programmed drums and just the sound of the guitar that we were able to get, almost like a reggae feel. And there's so many things that he brought into it.
And we have some synths here. The production, it's interesting because it has a good combination, between the acoustic and electric, and also some synths and kind of like more ethereal sounds.
So this is Orbs of Light, and we're just going over the different parts and how we built it, So that's how I started the song, with that riff.
It was a little bit challenging because there's so many elements that you have to make sure, that cut through the mix. Maybe we had to tweak it a little bit after, but you know, for the most part, everything worked.
So there's the sound of the room, you know, that Sal was talking about. You can really, I mean, it's so warm. You hear every single little detail of the drum.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. My name is Brent Fisher, 37-year music industry veteran.
I mean, this is so close already. You know?
Yeah.
Sal is already in the getting it ready for mixing.
It's like this great amalgamation of all the best ideas from 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s pop rock music, but then transformed into essentially, you know, 21st century music. The big song that I had, let's say, the most to do with on this album is a song called Holding Hands. It talks about a sense of togetherness and acceptance of all the great different cultures around the world and enjoying all of our differences. And then we go about, you know, carefully analyzing all the waveforms. And I know that may sound a little cold and scientific, but you have to get detail-oriented like that to make this beautiful emotional statement.
When the sun goes down on Dublin.
The horns more or less where you want them, or you want them even less?
Now that the guitar is in, they're good. But there were the few spots where they jump out a little too much.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. But I like that there's just a general sense of happiness sort of permeating through all the songs. Well, that's basically how Beto lives his life, right?
I look back and I think connection and positive outlook. So I just hope it's going to make a lot of people happy all over the world. I think it has a potential of reaching just people all across the world. This is the thing about this album. I really am proud of every single song.
I think it's going to make a lot of people very happy, this music.
Every city in the world is mentioned in the back end of this song.
And I just really love the message. I think it's universal.
And it's radio ready.
One more time.